I want to talk about the signs of when you know layoffs are potentially coming or is here. But what I want to talk about specifically is the spin that companies say in your head you should be translating to potential layoffs.
Mm,
Okay. Anytime you hear we're looking to make a strategic move to streamline operations
mm.
by optimizing the workforce
Ah.
to ensure peak performance and increase efficiency.
It's not funny,
You're
but it's like in my mind, I need to dust off my resume. I need to hit up some course. God, they trying to tell you without telling me now. We be trying to tell you in corporate HR speak. We trying to be nice about it, but if you can't figure it out, that's not funny. But you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, if I hear that, I'm scared though. If I hear that, oh man, I'm terrified.
Hey, but you gotta love the game though. Did you hear how that man? It sounded so good, didn't it? Though you like, yeah, yeah, we should have yeah, operational efficiency.
You the optimization. You don't even know it.
Yes.
That's crazy,
Oh man, that's wild, isn't it?
man.
Okay, so let me keep going. Let me keep going. Alignment with strategic priorities.
Mm, okay, okay.
Performance-based decision making.
Mm, okay.
Probably been hearing that a little bit.
Hmm.
Investing in talent development.
Mm, okay.
Sometimes translation, if there are layoffs happening, they do not want to scare high performers from leaving. So no, we're still committed to
Mm,
investing in talent development despite the layoffs that just happened. Okay. And that might be true. You don't have to be pessimistic about it, but you need to like just use your own critical thinking. Continuous improvement process
mm,
positions the layoffs as a part of ongoing efforts to enhance overall organizational effectiveness.
mm.
That sounds good, don't it?
It sounds like the right thing to do.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Focus on high impact roles. This indicates the company is prioritizing roles that directly contribute to key business outcomes, aka usually we're closer to the revenue generators. And then if you're closer to the revenue, but the further you get away from revenue, you should be like
I
shaking in
think
your boots. You should be like, oh,
I
okay,
don't,
that could be
I don't,
me.
I don't know if you're going in the direction I think you're going in. Because it was some whole divisions I heard that got laid off in a certain industry. That was like, okay. You don't know, you know what I'm talking about? I think I
It's it's probably coming, but
yeah.
yes, but I'm not going there. I know what you're saying. It's a whole lot of emotional.
Yeah.
You're talking about DE and I. That's what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
that's not where I was going. Uh, but I knew when when that spun up, I knew that wasn't gonna last. I just
Mm,
kept saying, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna make sure I don't take any of those roles. Shout out
interesting.
to the people that's passionate about it, but I'm not taking up any of those roles because I didn't think they were gonna last, and that was just my thoughts initially. But there's a lot of emotion around that, so I'm just gonna leave that where it's at. Uh, so I just want to get to an example corporate statement. As a part of our commitment to ongoing operational excellence, we are making strategic adjustments to our workforce by focusing on critical roles that directly align with our strategic priorities. This includes a difficult decision to let go of a small number of employees whose performance has not met the necessary standards. We
Mm,
are confident that these changes will position our company for future success by maximizing the talent and potential of our high performing teams.
Wow.
Okay, Ken, where are you going with this? I'm glad you asked. There's a leaked memo from Mark Zuckerberg at Meta about reducing their workforce by 5%, and they're going to focus on the low performers. According to Mark Zuckerberg, he said that there's going to be an intense year ahead.
Mm,
Have you heard about that yet?
I had not.
Okay. So this is interesting. This is a little bit of controversy before I get there, before I get into the specifics. I don't know if you know it, but Mark Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan, so I guess he doing the Elon. I guess he doing the Elon.
You on a press run?
But I ain't see him. He wouldn't eat no gummies or nothing. So I guess that,
He
you
already
know,
was pretty funny enough.
Elon, he hit it a couple times. He
Mhm.
not the gummy, but he was, but when you Elon and you the richest man, maybe you could do some things that people,
Yeah.
the normal person can't do. I'll leave it there. Okay. So the Joe Rogan podcast, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just, little clips or what have you, but I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, and other companies are like aligning, changing things, going away from what you mentioned earlier. Well, what you was kind of hinting at, DE&I initiative. They like getting rid of that, and so D&I initiatives have been dismissed, and a more masculine work environment is being embraced. This is a quote. This is not me, Ken, talking. This is from a Forbes article. I just want to be clear. Um, in an often quoted podcast appearance on Joe Rogan, Zuckerberg said that the corporate America has gone too far in embracing what he called feminine energy,
Mm,
demonstrating a possible flair for understatement. Meta warned staffers for an intense year ahead, as I said. Okay, so what does that look like? So a 5% work reduction for Meta. Before you understand that, you need to understand their total employee workforce. It's over 85,000 employees worldwide. That's a lot of people.
wow.
Now, 4% of that will be around 5% of that will be around 4,000.
Mm,
So 4,000 people will be impacted. Unfortunately, there's probably going to be a lot of white collar jobs that's going to be a part of that shakeup. Do you think it should be outrage or you just adapt?
man, there was a lot in those statements. Man, I feel like if I'm at Meta and I hear that, I don't know, unless I don't know, regardless, I'm gonna polish off my resume. But like unless I just have that crystal clear communication with my manager, like, nah, we're good. We need you to continue doing what you're doing. We can't do it without you. Type of communication. Unless I'm in that type of position, polishing up my resume just in case, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I thought that was very interesting comments about talking about the feminism in the workforce. I think was that the leaked memo?
Yeah. Well, that's not a part of the week. No, he better not put that in the limp. Ooh, man. No,
That
he
was on
better
Rogan.
not say that. He was on a Joe Rogan podcast. And I do think that the writer from the Forbes magazine, sometimes when you read these articles, you could tell they don't agree, or because you can hear the slant in how they're
Right.
saying things. So the feminine energy was in air quotes. So,
Mm,
stay neutral when you reading these articles, but they're very they can be very triggering for someone, like, just, and that's what that's buzzwords, these things. It invokes an emotion sometimes, and you get out of your element. But absolutely not. That was not on the memo.
I was
Better, like, you better believe PR and council proofread that memo that was leaked.
right. And I'm oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But then and I'm just curious, like, before I'm preface this by saying, of course, Mark Zuckerberg is a very intelligent guy. He is, it's been said before by plenty. But my question is, and as I've learned in business, I'm just going to business school. One concept I learned was that there's different roles. There's people that's really good at starting a business, coming up with these ideas, and that's just their thing. They're really good at ideation. They come up with ideas. Like he's probably one of the people that nobody else was thinking about a Facebook or thought about it in a way to actually be able to do it. And then there's people that are really good at acting on the ideas of others and executing. I mean, you know this. My question is, and I'm just ignorant to what Mark Zuckerberg's current role is. What is he, the CEO? I'm not sure what he is, but he's very tied to the company, and I just like I said, he's much more intelligent than I am. I'm sure he knows more about business than I do, but it almost seems like at times he can hinder the public persona, and it just, I mean, I don't know. He hasn't gotten to too controversial a level yet. I don't know, but statements like that, I wouldn't want if I'm the PR team. What's wrong with him? Like if I'm the PR team, I'm getting mad. I'm calling like, hey, can someone get him off of that show? Like, what are we doing? He
Mm.
making us work overtime. We was chilling. Now it's Saturday. We write memos. We dealing with complaints from internal people that saw a headline and thought that their CEO is misogynistic, even if it's not the case. Now it's a fire we gotta go put out real quick.
But that's their job, right? One thing now, here go to pivot, right? One thing that I want to talk about is the company's going in the direction that you don't agree with. I like what you were saying. You like, okay, all right, I think I might be hearing the writing on the wall. I'm not going to operate in fear. And maybe I might be good or maybe I might not be. But let me control what I can control. And let me dust off that resume and start doing some strategic networking, right?
So
And that's all you can control, right? But I said all that to say I'm gonna do a slight pivot, but it's related. I'm not gonna do a screen share. I'm not even about to do all this reading. But it was a guy that made over $500,000 in his role, and he wanted to become an activist, and he wanted to like challenge everything. And then he ended up finding himself getting fired.
mm,
And that's a little bit different from a layoff. My thing is, what is the theme of this show? Being like leveraging your funding partner, your corporate job while you're building wealth. As we always say, you are a business, I am a business, we are a business. And our jobs, careers for some that you want to label it go in that direction. It's a funding partner. It's who you have chosen to provide your services to at this particular point in time. And the exchange is you deliver value and they pay you a salary. And
right.
sometimes the dynamics change, and the dynamic changing typically is a layoff.
Mm,
With that being said, the reason that I started this segment with all of those buzzwords is so you can read between the lines sometimes and at least, hey, this is a noted. The other thing that you can do as well is just pay attention to what's going on with the earnings calls. Pay attention to the trends. Is your company, if they're publicly traded, are they hitting earnings? Are they hitting their earnings targets? Have they missed it multiple times? In your head, you got to think like a business. Like you got to assess this as a business. You can't drink the Kool-Aid and you just got your head down and you just drinking the Kool-Aid of the company and you just blind to everything that's going on around. Like, and part of everything that's going around, what's going on in the political landscape? What's going like? Is is the landscape changing and that's going to impact the business world? Like, how does that impact your company? Like, what are the moves that your company is making? What is going on with the earnings report? Just with your own eye test, are you seeing things being outsourced? Are you seeing things shifting around? Are you seeing your manager starting to say certain things without saying certain things? Like, just got to pay attention. It's just all data points. And because you are a business, you have to make moves accordingly.
For sure. Man, it, you're right. Like you really have to. It starts from within. And I think you just got to spread it out. And so, like I said, you got to start with you, LLC. You got to start with yourself, and I think that helps you be a better employee because I think it just makes you more serious. When you're whether it's a role where you're more individual by yourself or even in a team setting, I think you become the type of teammate that people want to be around. And so, but I think that for me, the way I've been looking at it lately is that because I'm sure, so maybe some of our listeners are familiar with the S2S pod or Jamal, how he does the 5 pillars, or, like, I'm not sure of all of faith, family, finances, and all that, but I kind of made one for myself. And so it makes more sense for me because, I was just thinking on what matters to me. That's what matters to Jamal, but I got to figure out what matters for me. And so for me, it broke down to career, health, business, and relationships. And so career and business, that's the one that's most relevant to this conversation. Those two are important to me because, as I'm trying to figure out what my identity is, am I an employee? Am I this? Am I that? Those are all just labels. What really matters is to me, my career, I break down career just what are you doing for money? How are you bringing money in? Don't matter what you call it. Are you an employee? Are you this? Are you a that? I don't care what wheel you on. Are you making money and how much, what different ways? That's just it. And then when I say business, that's okay. What are you doing with the money? So we can get into that later, but I just think that taking your career seriously can mean several different things. It can mean being the best version of yourself at work. And it can also it's not either or. I guess what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't have to be either or, but it can be also once you clock out, you've given the company the time they deserve, put that same time into yourself because you deserve it also.
Hey, that's real. So I'm actually gonna leave it there. I like that ending.